New business, we have the city manager update, the Harris County 2025 SPLOST proposal, joint resolution Kia Georgia project, memorandum of understanding for Kia Georgia project, and 2024 proposed city budget presentation with a November 13th budget public hearing. Those are items on the agenda. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I would like to propose an amendment to the agenda to add a discussion about the contract for rental of the depot.
Well, I don't know. We got enough. Do you have to have a second? Do you have a motion? Do we have a second? We don't have a second, so the agenda stands as it is. So,
It doesn't have to be approved?
yeah, we have an agenda. We have to approve it. So we have a motion to approve the agenda. Do you second the motion to approve the agenda? I'll second it. All in favor for tonight's agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, carries. Tonight we have public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? Not hearing that. We'll go right into new business. City manager update.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have any operational update for the council.
Okay, thank you. First item then is
I have
the,
a question for the manager.
go ahead.
Okay, Ed, regarding our conversation earlier today about the rental agreement for the depot. Thank you for sending me the copy of it. I see no reference in the guidelines to prohibition of political meetings in there. Can you expand upon, explain why money is being returned for rental and is being disallowed?
Because we do not allow political meetings of any type to be held at city facilities. The exception to that rule has been a forum that's been held for many years. It has been held at the depot in the past, but other than that, it's been the city's policy, unwritten policy, to not have any political activity at city facilities.
And who made the policy unwritten?
It was a policy when I came here, and that's the policy we've carried out since for the last 18 years.
Okay. Has it ever been requested for use?
We've had some requests previously from council members to use various facilities.
And you've continued that practice even though it's not documented in the guidelines?
That's correct.
Okay. I would like, if you will, and I know you can't do it tonight, but I would like to know at what point the council, mayor and council, established that. Because if that's the practice, somebody had to approve it. We changed the rates a couple of years ago.
And we discussed that at that time. I recall saying that these were the uses that we would allow, and these were the uses we would not allow. And one of them was political meetings for individuals.
I would like, we did have some discussion on it, and I would like just a date of that meeting. I'd like to go back and review that, the conversation. Hopefully, the minutes will reflect the discussion, because I had some comments, I think, at that time. Minutes don't always reflect the full discussion around the motion. But I would like to go back and review that. The discussion hopefully is complete, and as importantly as that, the vote.
Okay. All right, we have the Harris County 2025 SPLOST proposal. Ed, will you present that to us?
Yes, you have information in your packet on the Harris County SPLOST, which will be a continuation of the current SPLOST that's being collected now. It collects up until March of 2025. So we've got a ways to go, but as y'all are aware, the counties try to move these forward early, so if it does not pass, they'll have an opportunity to get it back on another referendum. So this would actually be go into effect in March of 25, but the referendum will be in March of next year to approve the continuation of the SPLOST. I think all of you received emails from the county about this process. I attended 2 meetings with Harris County The allocation for the city was based on population at 2.8%. Is what we would collect on from of the SPOS from the county, and made a request that be moved to 3.7. Turned out to be 3.7%. We didn't negotiate over percentages. We negotiated over dollar amounts, and that would be $1 million. So over the life of the 6-year SPOS, and the projects that we put in, certainly at council's discretion, are for street paving and for utility infrastructure. Utility infrastructure is what we've done in the last 2 Harris County SPOS in order for us to provide any improvements that need to be done in the Harris County Business Park in order to continue to grow that, and also for use in the city itself, in the community, water lines, sewer lines, whatever needs to be done.
Okay, any questions? All right, then we'll move on. We have the joint resolution Kia Georgia project. We'll call on City Attorney Alex Dixon for this one.
Thank you, Mayor. The council was provided the resolution in the packet. The resolution has already been adopted by Troup County, the City of LaGrange, and the City of Hogansville. I believe this will be on the next business meeting for City of West Point, and I don't think the Board of Education has adopted it yet, have they?
I don't think so.
I think it's on their next business meeting to consider it. It's a resolution in support of the proposed project at the Kia facility for production of electric vehicles. There's a memorandum of understanding for the council's consideration tonight and for consideration at the next business meeting. It's simply a resolution by all of the local governing authorities in the county in support of that project.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
Yes, can you expand upon what were the sticking points on this that caused it to take so long to come to agreement?
Sticking points on
The
the
resolution.
overall project or the resolution?
Well, on the, whatever caused it to be delayed and that it required several meetings to get to this point.
Well, the only holdup that I'm aware of was the approval by the Troup County Board of Assessors. Other than that, I don't think any of the governing authorities have all the governing authorities have approved the Troup County, City of LaGrange, and City of Hogansville approved this resolution at the first meeting it was presented.
I'm referring to the assessor's office.
It was the Board of Assessors.
Yeah,
And
you don't know what that.
well, I think that was an issue of the numbers. And it's my understanding that's been worked out. I haven't been directly involved in that.
Did anyone else attend those meetings? Ed, Steve?
Not the assessors
Megan.
meeting, no.
The Troup County Board of Assessors has now approved the MOU and
She wanted to know if we attended their meeting.
You attended the meeting, and can you expand upon the negotiations or whatever caused it to be delayed beyond what normally is the case? Megan may have been involved with some of that.
The West Point Development Authority approved an MOU and a tax abatement schedule, and that was submitted to the Board of Assessors. The Board of Assessors wanted to negotiate further on the tax abatement schedule. That occurred, and they reached agreement and now have approved the agreement.
Are you aware of what the points of negotiation were about
The tax abatement schedule,
specifically?
the amounts of the tax abatement schedule.
So we started at something and
It was a negotiation, correct?
yeah. That's all you can elaborate on at this point?
Well, I mean, that's really all it was. It was just reaching an agreement on the tax abatement schedule, which was the numbers associated with the tax abatement.
You remember what the numbers were?
I don't, I know we've got it on our agenda to approve the MOU tonight, which will reflect what they have approved.
Right. I didn't attend the meeting, and I would think anybody that was at the meeting would have a little more information about that to share, but if you don't, that's okay.
I don't have any.
Megan or
I
Ed, I mean,
I'll tell you, the initial agreement that the Development Authority, and they'll correct me if I'm wrong here, was the numbers over the whole 15 years, what the county wanted versus what our Development Authority was willing to agree to, worked out to be about $250,000 or something difference. That the county wanted more money. They didn't like it. They wanted less on the less abatement on the front end and maybe a little bit more, or allow for more on the end. I don't know the numbers either. It's like 35, 50, 50, 60. I don't remember the numbers, but bottom line, at the end of the day, once they came back, which the Board of Assessors came back with their numbers, it was small, very small over the whole 15 years of what they got to hold this whole thing up. So we're all going to approve what the Troup County Board of Assessors wants. That's bottom line what it is. Everybody could have gone with the numbers that the Development Authority had initially, and the Kia was good with, but the County Board of Assessors didn't like the numbers. County Commissioners should have been handling this, not giving it to a Board of Assessors to handle. They're elected to do this. They handed it off to the Board of Assessors to come up with a number. You know, they said for their constituents. Well, they don't have constituents. They're not elected. So, end of the day, and correct me, $300,000 over 15 years was added because of the change to the abatement schedule. Less on the front end, maybe more on the back end, or do I have that reversed? More on the front end and less on the back end. Okay. Yeah. So
our initial one was more of a flat.
Yeah, just running the same
There were
whole
two,
thing.
but they wanted a.
And Rob, you've
Okay,
probably
that's
been
good.
in these meetings when I have said there should be some negotiation on the front end on these kinds of things. It's been kind of a rubber stamp, MOU, whatever, we blanketly sign it. I don't know that the Development Authority has any responsibility to the council to ask for our input, but we have not been figured into that in the past, and I think that needs to change. When you're going into those kinds of negotiations, you know, where you're abating taxes or whatever, you're giving something, I always want to know, what am I getting for it? And we, you know, I know I can hear you all saying now you're getting jobs. Yes, we are. We're getting jobs, but the negotiations should go a little beyond that in terms of, you know, the spirit of a quid pro quo. In addition to the jobs, what are we getting? And the county, I guess, is looking at it from that standpoint as well. It may have ended up with $250,000, which doesn't sound like much in the overall scheme of things. But coming to a meeting of the minds, I think, certainly is important on these kinds of issues, because the implications are there for all of us, every citizen in this city, all of us, anybody that pays property taxes. So going forward, I certainly hope that we can have more of that kind of negotiating and agreeing on what's good for everyone. Ideally, if we could have known something about the percentages that you were going to present in the first meeting before the negotiations ever started, that would have been great. And maybe some of you were aware of that, but I don't recall that being covered in any of these meetings.
That's why we have the Development Authority to do those kind of things. And they meet with Kia, they meet with the suppliers.
Right.
They work with the state, they come up with these numbers, and to have drug this thing out over the most important industry in this region for the amount of money that was additionally collected was wrong. It didn't show good faith. The state did not like what was being done here in Troup County. It may be hard for us to get more projects down here because of this negotiations. It's not something to snicker at.
Yeah.
It's not something to snicker at. That's truth. We don't need that kind of stuff going on. So you have any other, you got your question out? We're gonna move on.
Well, Mayor,
Yeah.
I will say that, I mean, the matter on the agenda is the joint resolution in support of the project.
Mhm.
That resolution goes through a lot of detail about all the impacts and financial benefits and other benefits to the West Point, to Troup County and the region provided by the Kia project and the suppliers and anticipated benefits from this project. That's the point of the resolution.
I think Kia knows we're resolutely in favor of everything they do.
And I think Kia knows Dee Dee Williams is resolutely in favor of it as well. I just
Okay.
feel like we've got to move forward and ask questions when it's appropriate and not be blindly obedient and sign on the dotted line, no questions asked. It means $250,000, it means $250,000. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So anybody else have any questions on the resolution? Megan, discuss the memorandum of understanding for the Kia Georgia project with us, please.
Yes, good evening. I'm going to present to you tonight the Kia Georgia Memorandum of Understanding. Kia Georgia is going to be expanding their manufacturing operation for the upcoming EV9 production at the West Point, Georgia assembly plant. Kia has produced over 4 million vehicles in West Point and will be home to an all-electric EV9 starting in 2024. The first electric vehicle to be manufactured in the state of Georgia will be here in West Point at Kia Georgia. Kia Georgia plans to invest approximately $250 million in expanding their existing production operation. This expansion will create more than 193 jobs and retain 2,700 jobs. And this expansion takes place in West Point. Kia Georgia is the first manufacturing site in North America for Kia Corporation, which is based in Seoul, Korea, with an annual capacity of 340,000 units. Kia is located on 22 acres in West Point, Georgia, and began mass production in November of 2009. Kia Georgia is home to the Telluride SUV, Sorento SUV, Sportage SUV, and K5 mid sedan. So according to the investment and job creation, Kia Georgia has estimated $77 million in real property investment, $173 million in personal property investment, and the creation of 193 full-time direct hires. So based on these commitments, West Point Development Authority is offering a property tax abatement according to the following schedule. This applies for real and personal property. First year, 100%. Second through year 8, 35%. Year 9 through 13, 50%. Year 14 and 15, 75%. That is the MOU with Kia Georgia and the West Point Development Authority.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll move on to the 2024 proposed city budget presentation. Ed?
Yes, sir. I've got a presentation for you here on the screen. And as you said, this is our proposed 2024 budget presentation. I have met with all the department directors and reviewed their submittals in the system, and we've reached an agreement that they can work within the confines of this budget, and they've all agreed to their departmental portion of it. So we'll kind of start at where we are currently. This budget is a couple of weeks back when I put it in the presentation, but we should be at about 83% used for the budget for this year, and you can see that the departments are pretty much in line with that. We got a few that are well under and a couple that are just a little over. I won't go through those numbers specifically, but that shows you the current budget amount and then the activity that we've had for 2023. Our current debt, the total debt that the city has, we have a fire station loan with USDA. It's $2.9 million. Our water and sewer debt, which we've talked about recently, existing, is one bond. It's $20 million. And then we have a gas system improvement debt that's 1.3 million. And that's, again, that's the total city debt that we have. I think, the city has historically done a good job of keeping down the general government debt and on the water and sewer front, as we've discussed. There's always going to be debt there as long as you're in the water and sewer business. Gas was done to bring our system up to standard and was a good move by the mayor and council to take that debt service. So all of that debt served the city very well. As a part of this budget process, department directors and myself entered into a 5-year strategic plan about midsummer. We talked about each department, they talked about their goals and future, and so put together a lot of good information and really talked about what the numbers would be for the next 5 years. So overall, they have identified about $15 million in the general government budget, about $23 million in utility budget for that 5-year term. Specifically, we're talking about the 2024 budget. So the operational needs for 2024, and this is utilities and general fund, they identified 18 new staff positions. Again, these are what were identified. Under the capital needs, there were 11 vehicles, fire engine, ambulance, 2 tractors, a digger derrick truck, and a grapple truck that were all identified. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what we can do this year and in our budget. We know that we're going to have an increase in our budget. We talked about those new taxes that are coming in from the automotive industry, and we've got some new revenue from other sources. So what I'm proposing we do is put aside a $1 million capital budget. It will not be separate from our general fund and utilities budget. We will use that $1 million this year and then go forward each year as a capital budget within that budget to use to make purchases that we need to make. To really catch us up from a few years where we've not been able to do some of the things that we need to do. So for the $1 million capital budget, the things I'm going to describe are going to be in excess of $1 million, but those will be covered under the budget expenses, the normal budget line item expenses. So all inclusive, we can cover these costs with the additional revenue that we're seeing coming to the budget. So the digger derrick truck is a truck that's used in the electric department. The current truck is a 2007 model. That vehicle does not meet the standard for testing that's required. We've had to sign a waiver in order to get the company to come and do the service on the vehicle. That's been about 2 years ago, so that truck must be replaced, and so we're looking to do that with a new truck. The ambulance, the current ambulance we have is a 2015. It has 156,000 miles, and you would think it had 500,000 miles. It's a constant source of maintenance issues, and so it needs to be replaced as a frontline out truck. We can certainly keep that truck as a backup. The photo that you see there is a van type ambulance, and that's what the fire department has looked at. They believe that it will meet their needs. It's a much smaller vehicle. It's gas instead of a diesel powered unit. It'll be cheaper to operate and maintain. It's less expensive. So that's what they're proposing that we move forward with to provide that service. The grapple loader truck in the center is a public works truck that runs the trash route. We have one of those that we purchased, this we got this year, first of this year. It's been fantastic. If y'all have noticed, we're getting the roadside trash picked up much faster. It goes directly to the landfill. It doesn't require CDL licensure. If we can get 2 of those on the road and then take the 2005 truck that we have now and make it as backup, we think that'll make us really strong in our operation and be able to continue what we do. On the police vehicles, we have in this budget to purchase 5 new patrol vehicles and 1 animal control vehicle. The animal control basically doesn't have anything that's designated for that particular use. And our fleet is just, it's old, high mileage cars, lots of maintenance costs. So this will put us in a position to be able to operate much more efficiently. Otherwise, there are 4 other vehicles, mostly trucks, that we would purchase, and 2 tractors, one in the water department, one in the public works department. So that would pretty much sum us up on the capital outlay. As far as the operations, we have 8 new staff positions. One of those being general government. That would be a position that would handle marketing, promotions, business development, site building, database, grants, things of that nature. There's been a good bit of talk about that. I talked to some of y'all about some of those positions. Our downtown merchants and development authority are very interested in having someone to assist in those areas. So we're going to work toward being able to fill that position. In the police department, we have a position for a criminal investigation administrative assistant. This position would manage the court cases for the officers, for the staff in the police department. It's not the municipal clerk of court, which we already have. It's not that position. It's a position that actually handles all court cases. Helps us be much more efficient in providing the services to the people that are in our court system. Fire department would be an administrative officer. They would be the second in command. They would manage the day-to-day operations of fire and EMS department. So that it would be someone that's administrative under the chief that would be there every day to manage the day-to-day operations of the crews. Public Works would be a worker position, so they would do street, stormwater, highway maintenance, all the things that Public Works does on a daily basis. 911 would be 2 communications officers that would replace a 12-to-12 shift that we have now. So we would put, instead of having a split shift, we would have two dispatchers on each shift. Certainly, there are times when we need 2 dispatchers just answering calls, but the key to the 2 positions would be that if we have one dispatcher that's out, then we have somebody else, hopefully this will. Right now, we have trouble keeping staff on shift. Whenever somebody's sick, we have to call somebody in that's either worked the night before, or got to work that night, or the day before. So staffing has been an issue in 911, so this gets us into a position where we can keep that staff without nearly as much.
Ed, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Is these new positions or just positions that aren't filled right now? 'Cause that
All-
sounds like that should have been filled, already.
No, these will be new positions, but we are eliminating one position, that split shift position, which is 12-to-12 now.
Okay.
So they lap over on 2 other dispatchers, but there's time when we only have 1 person. And they can't fill in because they've already worked a 12-hour shift. If the person on the next day calls out.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Utilities department, that will be a utility line locator. They'll locate the city underground facilities, both scheduled and emergency locates. They'll assist the natural gas department, which includes the service truck. So the service truck runs all the work orders from City Hall, cut-ons, cut-offs, just all types of different things. This will give us a backup to our service truck. So we don't have to pull somebody off of a utility crew to fill that position. So their main focus will be utility relocation, which is if you see the 811 signs out everywhere, call location. Everybody that digs a hole now calls and locate. So it takes a lot of time, and sometimes it'll be a full-time job just doing that. But there is some flexibility to help in other areas as well. So, as we've done every year, our cost of living adjustment for all city employees are based on the consumer price index for all of our customers, July 22 through June of 23. That's historically the period of time that we've used. This year that comes out to be a 6% increase, and the total is about $270,000 on the payroll budget. The other increases there, I know everybody's familiar with, as far as costs have increased with recession, I suppose. But materials and supplies are up in every area. Fuel is up and down, but it does impact us because we use a lot of fuel in what we do. We're on the road a lot. Utilities is highly impacted in this, as some of the costs are up 400%. And have not come down with a lot of things that happened during the COVID time. So transformers and things of that nature are still long lead time and very expensive. Any of the services that we require, just as us in our personal lives, those have gone up. And contract work is absolutely through the roof on having contractors do projects. Water and sewer rate, again, we based that on the CPI historically, so we have put in a 6% increase for water and sewer rates, 6% garbage rate increase. That's in our contract with Amwaste. I don't know that it'll be 6%. We won't know that until I guess it's July, August, whenever they will deliver that to us. And then roadside collection, which is our trash pickup, would be we're recommending a 50 cents increase, so we go to $6.50 a month on the trash pickup. So before I jump into the to all the other numbers on the budget itself, are there any questions on anything I've covered so far?
Are we still, do we still have the Main Street, liaison position, or whatever Cheryl Magby,
We do
her
not.
position?
We do not participate in the Main Street.
We don't participate?
program anymore.
Okay. And how do we get out of that?
The city, the Main Street program is built on pillars of historic preservation and downtown development, things like that. The city is doing all of those things through the organizations that we have, the volunteer boards. The Main Street program is really a volunteer organization. So it's set up where you have a staff person, and then you have volunteers that want to do work in the community. We never had a volunteer base here that wanted to participate in the Main Street program. So it was the Downtown Development Authority, Historic Preservation, the businesses that were doing things, but there was no real volunteer group behind that. So for us, we were being just as effective in the things that we were doing as we would have been in that. There's no real benefit to being in the Main Street program.
And the merchants were not willing to volunteer?
not in the Main Street program.
Because I've heard some of them say
On
that
that
they,
structure.
we should still have that, they wish we still did that. So they were not
Again,
participative.
certainly that's something that could be revisited, but if you look at the program and what it offers and what we do as a city, we're covering the.
We haven't given up anything.
Right.
So what Cheryl was doing is being done by, we didn't fill the position, right?
We did not fill that position, no.
So who's doing what she used to do? Or we don't have.
Well,
enough
hers
to
was
do
a dual role, so she was also, that position was funded in the utility department.
it? Mhm.
So, Holly, I can't think of Holly's last name, but she is the administrative assistant in utilities now that we transitioned that job that Cheryl was doing into that administrative assistant, which does all the things that Cheryl's doing, with the exception of the Main Street program.
And the 8 new proposed positions, that's 8 new positions, but one will be eliminated, 12-hour. Be
Yeah,
eliminated.
yes.
Okay, so net 7. Yeah.
That's right,
Okay.
yes.
Mhm. Okay, and how many vehicles do we have?
How many things do we have total in
Uh-huh.
the city?
Heavy, big trucks and loaders and all of those big things, and just normal trucks that you see, police cars, automobiles.
I don't
Don't
know.
know.
the total number. I would, if I had to guess, I'd say 80.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot, yeah.
Takes a lot to do what we did.
Yeah, well, you gotta be able to get around. I'm not
That's right.
questioning that, when I see the number of vehicles I see this, and I've noticed it more recently than before recently, but, it's a lot. Yeah. You got it somewhere, I'll get with you. It's just a curiosity question. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. So, this is just a look at the overall budget from 2006 to 2024. The lowest number here is 2007, we were about $12 million for the annual budget, and you can see 2024 will be $28 million. Again, the increase over the last 2 budgets has been automotive industry, end of tax abatements, and easy blockchain on the electric side. So that's where that increase has really come from. And remember, we're
Is this revenue or is this?
well, that's what I was about to say. We are required by law to have a balanced budget, so this is revenues and expenditure. Whatever we take in, we have to show in our budget that we spend out. Whether we spend it or not, we have to budget for it.
Ed, did you say earlier that we're at 83%,
83%.
actual versus?
That's where we'd be right
So we're
now.
always, okay, that's where we should be based on where we are at the year, but I'm saying our actual is that number as well.
Right there.
No, I didn't
You didn't
take
say
the
that.
total of each department. I mean, if you averaged it out, I'm sure we're very close, probably a little under. So this is the proposed budget. Again, you said we're total of 28.4 million. General government's 1.5 million. Police 2.3 million. Fire 1.9 million. The 911 transfer is one of those things that we have to show as a budgetary expenditure. So this is money transferred to 911 out of the general fund. Highways and streets, 1.3 million. Virginia Cook Building, 12,000. Parks and Recreation, 106,000. Planning and zoning, 442,000. Economic development, 327,000. The depot, 92,000. Youth services, 97,000. Technology center, 87,000. So that's a total of the general fund of 8.6 million. Sewer collection and disposal, that's the collection system, 297,000. treatment plant for sewage, 1.2 million. Water, 2.3 million, for a total of right at $4 million. The electric budget is $12 million. That's up from $8 million, last budget cycle.
Wow.
The gas is 1.2 million, sanitation is 510,000, 911 communication 422, and SPOS is 1.1 million. That puts a total of 28.4.
Yeah, what's the $4 million increase in
Easy blockchain. And then that will increase, they're increasing, they'll be at 16 megawatts starting January. Our whole system before Easy Blockchain was about 12.5 megawatts.
that? Let me ask you again, is this revenue or cost?
It's both.
Both.
So if your power consumption went up, do you anticipate spending the exact number of dollars on the electrical line item here?
State law require the balanced budget.
Balanced budget is balanced budget, but that doesn't mean that you gotta go fix a roof that you can take some money out of the electric, does it?
Well, you could transfer, you shouldn't transfer it that easily. Now, we do have a transfer out of the electric department budget into the general fund. We still have that. It's $250,000 this year. Last year it was $780,000. So we reduced that transfer amount. So if we have a need in the general fund, we transfer that money in the budget out of the electric department into the general fund, into those line items to meet that need.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. So if you went up from $4 million in electric,
So also remember now,
you gotta pay the bill.
That's
to
right.
understand that there's,
Easy Blockchain is based on a margin. So that's electric that we purchase, we sell, and then we collect our margin. And that's all there's no, it's not a, there's no flexibility in that. It's whatever they use, we get the 5% margin.
So it's a 50% increase, and I understand you're saying it's both. It's coming in and it's going out, but it's a 50% increase. That same $4 million gonna be an expense on the same line? I mean, it's great it sounds good when you're talking about income, 50% income, increase in income is wonderful. But if our expense is going up 50%, I'm more concerned about that. It's so,
Again,
to
we
his
have to
point.
purchase the electricity. Easy Blockchain, as we talked about many times, is a market rate product. We buy off the market to provide them electricity. So we buy the energy, we sell the energy to them, we include all the costs associated with that, plus a 5% margin for the city. So that $350,000 derrick truck is pretty much, as far as our estimate's gonna be $350,000 to $500,000 based on what Easy Blockchain actually uses. So that one capital project, pretty much, we'll buy that with what Easy Blockchain pays us in Georgia.
so some of the increase is generated because of what we gotta spend to be able to get that.
That's
money.
right. That is correct.
But if we're generating income, and we need income to do other things, I guess I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, why can't that be our revenue source for some other things that we need to do?
Well, it is. We transfer money from the electric fund to the general fund.
So that ought to have us in pretty good shape. 50% increase in that.
It does,
in that
it's
number.
part of that
Yeah.
new revenue that we got that we put in budgets.
the detailed budget that you send out, that has revenue and expenses.
It does. But their budget dollar amount is the same.
Yeah.
Just like the first slide we looked at is departmental spending. I didn't even have revenue on it. That's what all the departments have spent throughout Correct. But for this budget purpose, it's all reconciled.
Is $326,000 for the 911 include the new position
It does.
and the police included?
Yes, all those numbers we talked about, the $1 million capital outlay, all the positions are included in this budget.
What is the study technology center? Is that just,
It's the training center, technology center, on OG Center Drive, next, across from the.
does that have depreciation in that number too, or? well,
No, we don't budget any appreciation. We can have a long discussion about depreciation in this budget.
But is it a study, or is it, I mean, we're calling it study / technology center? Is that what we call the building, or are we paying for a study of technology services or something?
It was, that building was built with, some DCA funds.
Mhm.
And the purpose of that building being built was as a education and technology center. It was, so that's how that name got placed on it. That also has to meet what the Charter of Accounts require for local government accounts as well.
Do we still use it for such?
We do.
We're not required to now.
It's, yeah, I mean, I think the purpose is still there, and we tried to use it for that. There's been a lot of different uses over time. That's what voting is at. It's not study or technology, but it's a public use.
in your parts, you make a little light?
No, that's up a little bit.
I thought we spent more than that on.
Well, we do if you include the in-kind cost, utility, all the utility costs that we pay. So those are embedded costs in the other budgets.
Thank you.
So is there any line that has monies that, I mean, of course, at your discretion, you balanced it with extra to balance the bottom line. Is there any line item that has money that at your discretion you could put elsewhere?
No,
Namely Parks and Rec. You know,
No.
we've had a lot of conversation about that recently.
we don't,
Food.
the only funds that we move are in the department. So you can spend, if you need to spend in excess of a line item, then the thought process is you're gonna spend less in another line item. Your budget balance, but we don't take out of one department and put it in another department. That's the best way to make these folks unhappy.
But-
We're not taking money out of
But
the-
don't, I mean, I'm not saying that, like at this point, would it be appropriate to do it up front, not moving it down the line after you've said you're gonna do something else with it? I'm just saying, in your discretion or discretion of this council,
The
for the
council can
funds that
certainly-
can be,
This is a proposed budget, so the
Mhm.
council can certainly change the budget.
yeah, okay.
But
So
this
where's
is
the excess?
this is the budget that the departments have agreed to that they can operate under, 2024, so.
Fourth slide, they asked for a lot more, the fifth slide. Wanted 18 staff and got 11 vehicles, how many vehicles did they get?
Well, we got four vehicles. That's not counting, well, that would include the police cars as well. And I did separate those out.
You don't give them everything they want.
We'll try.
So who gets to ask for parks and recreation money internally? I understand Troop County's role in all of this, but internally, what we put, what
Mike
we.
Pitts, Mike comes to all of our directors meetings and works with us as county staff
Mhm.
to assist us.
And was there any requests for anything? I mean, it went up a little bit, you said. Yeah.
I mean, Mike always needs more, but,
Everybody does.
yeah, I mean, again, this is a ongoing conversation, and, you know, we've all worked together for a
Mhm.
while, and
Mhm.
so,
How do constituents lobby Mike to ask for more money for Parks and Rec?
I don't know, I mean,
Ask him, huh?
I,
I'll see. I'll talk to you later.
again, it's, Parks and Rec is a little bit different, you know, because we're subsidizing the county through
Mhm.
what we do, which I think.
So there's
everyone's
not
supposed-
anybody here that has that as their focus. I mean, we just kind of handed it off to Troup County, and whatever they do is what they do. And, I mean, we can always put more money into recreation without it going through them, I would think. We don't have to, I mean, if we wanted to do something that falls into Parks and Recreation, and we probably do, don't we? No?
Most of our funds are just maintenance and operations. So they're not anything that's created that's new,
Mm-hmm.
that we're expecting the county to maintain and operate, then that's a different conversation than it is us, you know, replacing, grass on the field or something like that,
Mhm.
which is where most of, really all of these funds go, is just maintenance and operations, things that make our facility better.
So if Point needed, just say, and, you know, this is just hypothetical, if they wanted turf instead of grass, and we decided we wanted to do that, would we go to Troup County and say, put some turf out there for Point, or would we say, we're gonna put the money up to do that if
You're
this
talking about
body
turf, or you're
decided?
talking about
Hmm.
artificial turf,
AstroTurf,
on the field?
the artificial turf?
That certainly go to somebody besides us, because that's not a project that we would take on. I mean, that would.
Okay,
it's
maybe,
point
maybe,
one that they would do.
maybe I picked a bad example then. If it was something that wouldn't be that major a project, something not that expensive, that fell under the general category of Parks and Recreation.
That point was
Would-
requested? I mean, or just-
Anybody, I mean, I just
Well,
use
that's-
that as an example because they use the fields. I mean, if it was a park, if it was more playground equipment, we got playground equipment in several locations, but, and I'm not suggesting that we need to focus on that specifically, but if it was more, it was a park over on Path Street, that needed some equipment. Would that come from Mike, or would that come
Mike-
from you,
Mike-
or?
Mike manages the operations of Troup County Parks and Recreation. And if Mike needs something, then he comes and we sit down and we talk about that need, and he brings invoices, or proposals, documentation, and says, this is what we need to do. We need to replace this piece of equipment at the playground.
And it comes out of whose budget?
It comes out of that budget. If he's requesting it from us, most likely Troup County is not willing to do that, or there's some process that's in the way, or it needs to be done quickly, or there's a reason why Mike would bring us something like that.
So this 106 or whatever is in addition to whatever they're going to do.
That's
So
right.
however we use that is our decision.
Yeah,
Okay. And if he gets more than that, it would also be our decision.
that's right.
Okay.
You're approving that budget for the
Mhm.
recreational purposes.
Of course, the difference has to come from somewhere. I understand that. Yeah.
All right, so just some of the big things for 24, we just talked about the Kia EV9 project, the Daysol Office project out in the Harris County Park. I understand that we've got plans on that project, so they'll be hopefully in production out there next year. We've got the Brent Holdings mixed-use development at Exit 2. That's the large 600-acre development that they have purchased that property, and we look for that to break ground soon. Love's Country Store be open soon with the Hardee's restaurant and drive-through. We're going to have a drive-through hamburger place. And that project's really gonna continue to impact us next year, and with the completion of the roundabouts at exit 2, that's really gonna open up, I think, that exit 2 for more growth. The villages at Harris Creek, units 3 and 4, they're already building some houses out there in 3, and I think 4 will start next year. And of course, we've already talked about our big project, which will be the water intake, and water plant improvements. So that's it. We already addressed, I think, most of the questions, but that's our budget number. And we'll have public, Mayor mentioned one of the public hearings, which will be our Monday, November 13th business meeting. And then the next public hearing will be November 28th at the work session at 5:30. And it's already posted on the city, posted it today on the city website, both the presentation and the budget information that y'all received for the public review. If anybody wants a hard copy, they can come here, we'll print them one. So the information's out there.
All right,
Any update on the Coca-Cola building? Negotiations on the Coca-Cola building?
I don't have any.
Megan, anything you can tell us?
We're working on the deed.
Okay.
all right, the items on the business meeting for November 13th, 2023 at 5:30 PM will be the Harris County 2025 SPLOST proposal, joint resolution Kia Georgia project, and the memorandum of understanding for the Kia Georgia project. That's all the items we have. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's go pass out candy.
Can we mention that Ed Moon has been with us for 18 long years?
He started when he was 2.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sandy.
We are going to do a Christmas tree lighting on Friday, December 1st at 5 o'clock at JSL Park. So we'd love, obviously, the city council will be involved and engaged that evening.
Thank you for sending that email out to everybody.
And I'll send more information out.
Calendar invites.
And a calendar invite.